Hi, my name's Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. Welcome to Avatar The Last Podcasters. Today we are covering the Netflix live action series episode 8. So it is the season 1 finale and it's called Legends. Chris, anything you want to talk about before we talk about Legends?
I like this title. Legends?
It also doesn't
What?
really tie in at any one. Like, I get, generically what, but that's probably just like a generic good word.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not big on it. You know what? I'm not big on a lot of the
Oh, but
titles from season 1 here.
yeah. Anyway,
That's okay. They should.
nitpicking.
More TV shows should take the Friends approach and be like, the one with the final battle, the one with the giant
Uh,
fish person. Being, you would know right away which episode we were talking about.
it's
It'd be amazing.
such a creative way to title episodes because it's accurate.
There's a PlayStation 2 Friends trivia game, and I think it's called Friends, the one with the trivia, and I just always really
Yeah,
respected that. Like, that's
as
that's
well.
that's good. That's good titling. Chris, before we talk about Legends, what you do this week? Anything exciting? Predictions for your week?
Um, get ready to go on vacation.
Yeah, if you're gonna do Independence Day stuff, don't blow your fingers off, or any other body parts actually for that matter. Don't Jason Pierre-Paul yourself.
Yeah, that's freaking crazy. And he still
Yeah,
went on to have a pretty good NFL career.
yeah, like he was like already kind of like he had to be 30, I think, when that happened. And he's just like, oh, he's 30, he blew his hand off, he's done. No, he finished up pretty good. Yeah. So,
Maybe
but
that's me.
don't do that to yourself. I'd like to think that he can laugh about it now, but he might also just beat us to a pulp. I don't know.
No, he
He's
could still definitely beat. I have stupid confidence when it comes to fighting people. Um, but I know I would lose to someone.
I yeah, I think if you run up against a 6'5", I'm gonna guess like 6'5", 260. I don't know. Now I gotta look it up. I'm only interested because he started at a Kansas community college. Fun fact. Oh, he's my age. How about that? Just show me how big he is. I don't care about all this other news.
That's
The
what she.
the the first piece of information. Oh, that's pretty close. 6'5", 270, and he's still an active free agent. So I assume he could tear my arms out if he did not like my joke. But anyway, yeah, if you're gonna do that kind of thing,
There,
don't
just
blow your
tear your
fingers off.
fingers off.
Yeah, it's just
See how you like it.
it
Mhm.
makes me think of Talladega Nights when Will Ferrell's in the wheelchair, like wishing. It's I hope you have beautiful children. It's just like that.
I just watched Talladega Nights legitimately like 2 weeks ago. Or like,
It
I need to put it on Twitch spots. I watched it.
it's Will Ferrell's best movie, and
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I thought we were gonna be no, no, no. Stop going easy.
I
He needs
think
to learn. All right. Hey, dumbass. You're you're not you're not paralyzed. I'm so paralyzed. No, you're not. It's all in your head, Ricky Bobby. You wait for. Oh yeah. Then he goes on to say, "Oh, we have beautiful sons,
beautiful sons.
and they're gifted, and I hope one of their legs are." Oh no, that was before anyway. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take this knife." He's like, "You put that leg in your knife, it's gonna hurt Ricky Bobby." Ah!
Yeah, he
And
just like straight paces for a second. That
then, and then he's like, and you can just tell they were riffing at this point because he's like, "Wait, I got. All right, we're gonna take this knife and we're gonna cut a little bit around it." But I got two knives.
it's so
Uh,
damn. I love. It's his best movie, and I'll stand by that. Probably forever. Probably forever.
I agree.
I remember when that movie came out and ESPN still did like that large print magazine. And like that,
Yeah.
like Ricky Bobby was a full page print, but on the front of ESPN magazine. I was like, I don't, this feels unwarranted, but turns out it was warranted. Chris,
All right,
let's talk about Legends.
Legends.
There's a
Okay.
lot to cover here.
I'm gonna go through the summary. There is a lot. Like my notes on this, it's probably about 20% more than last episode, maybe 30%. I love numbers. Anyway, starts off with the cold open, which I think is an amazing cold open. If they put some money into this cold open, it's a very pretty spectacular for a cold open, which is almost a microcosm to this whole episode. I think they spent a lot of money on this one episode. But they have the code open. Team Avatar taking down one ship, and they each have a little moment. There's some pretty cool fights in it. Sokka has a moment to shine. He plans to attack and everything. It's just really good to see Team Avatar be Team Avatar, especially in the show. I feel like it needs some more of Team Avatar being together.
Agreed.
And then they realize that that was only one ship out of about 200 or so. So they go back and they tell the chiefs and stuff what they know. Like, they were actually like pretty good scouts. Even Paku was like, "Thank you for this. This is good. It's good information."
Like a grumpy old man being warned that some teenagers are walking up his street.
Yeah. There is a really great Zuko Iroh moment. Like when Zuko is on his way to the north, he says goodbye to Iroh. Um, and in that moment, Zuko tells Iroh like, Lutin would have been proud to have you as his father. Like, great. I freaking love Dallas Liu as Zuko. I didn't really have much of an opinion about him coming in because honestly, I thought it's not that I thought he was miscast. Thought so. The only thing I ever knew him from was in Shang-Chi. And when I heard, oh, they got an actor from Shang-Chi to play Zuko, I thought they got the person who played Shang-Chi in a flashback. I was like, oh, cool. No, they got like Shang-Chi's best friend's brother who
Second
didn't have any,
cousin's
who was just a,
former roommate.
yeah, who was just a normal person. But Dallas Liu does a really amazing job as Zuko, and that's one of the moments he does a really good job at.
Yeah, he's probably among my favorite actors. I probably said this 2 weeks ago. He's one of my favorite actors from the show, if not
Yeah,
if not my
we're
favorite.
definitely going to do an episode probably coming up ranking. I think the actors
I think
slash.
that sounds great. At least the favorites. I don't know if I could be like comfortably critical enough to do least favorite, right? But I can do favorites absolutely.
Okay.
Least favorite sounds mean spirited. Because they're talking about like real people now, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if I have that in me, but yeah, we should do favorites anyway.
Team Avatar and Sokka kind of assesses the situation. He's like, honestly, once we're in battle, it's probably 50-50. And then he's like, actually, it's probably more like 40-60. And so, like, things are looking a little gloom. And Katara is like, you know what? I'm gonna go even the odds. Katara goes out, recruits all the women benders, and I really freaking love this moment for Katara. We talk about, people talk about how Katara broke the establishment in the animated show, how she took on the sexist things of the Northern Water Tribe, but they don't really show that in the animated show. And here they make it a point to show it. Like Katara brings them all with her, where she's like, they need to fight for their land also, and it shows all these women who stand up proud and stuff. I think it's a really great moment. It's really great for Katara, the character herself, to be leading this cause.
I have a bit of a tangent, but I promise it comes back. But you ever have those moments, Chris, where like your wife will say something out loud that like validates something that you were thinking, but just unprompted, and you're like, I love you. That ever just like hit you right?
Not often.
No.
I
But,
get
well, it's a special thing. It's not all the time. It just,
Oh, okay.
as long as you know the feeling, you know where I'm going is that. So, I watched this first time with you, second time with my wife. And so the second time, and I'm sitting there watching this part, And I really thought that when Katara said, I'm going to even the odds, that she was just going to take the women and that they were just going to go out into the water like covertly. And because there's no way that the Northern Water Tribe doesn't have some kind of Navy armada. There's no reason that they can't have that and that they shouldn't have that to some degree and be out like on the water doing like preventative work, just freezing Fire Nation ships just in their tracks. You know, that bugs me through the whole episode. And
Well, I think.
Heather said
Sorry,
some,
I was.
Heather said something just kind of like word for word to that out loud when that happened, and Heather's like, "You mean she just brought the women up here instead of like going out there and like just doing something intelligent?" And it's like, Heather, I love you so much right now. You're the best wife.
Well, I think, and they might have explained this. I think they did explain this. Is that they were just outnumbered, and it would be better for them to meet them at the border than go out and try to take on all these ships. Like I think they might have been outnumbered 2-1 or something, the ships wise. But the Water Tribe does have a navy.
They would have so much advantage in the frozen water. 2-1's fine.
I think it was a numbers thing, and then they could play because if you get them to come, because the wall itself is impenetrable,
but
to a
it's
certain
but it's not.
But that was until the moon. They didn't know that the moon going away was an option. If they would have been stuck out in the ocean with the moon going away, they would have the same problem.
Okay.
They would get wrecked.
The wall is your last line of defense. So they would have had the same problem either way. That part is fair. But the wall is your last line of defense, not your first one. You don't just let people up to the wall and be like, "We'll be fine." That nobody ever.
Yeah, but the wall impact is like it is the. I don't know where I saw this.
You know your own home turf better than anybody, and you get the water. They're in the water. They're in your element. Go out there and freeze that crap.
But imagine, they firebenders, because they're so good with their technology, they could probably fight 1v1 on water. Right, one thing they outnumber them. Well, not 1v1, but why? They're probably 50-50 on the water. But if they come on land, they're surrounded by water, and they would face firebenders. And so, I could just see. But my point was, it's similar to the tactic of like, all right, if I'm taking on 30 people, I gotta do the technique where you let them in kind of you can't engage. Yeah, a funnel. I can't remember the show or the movie that I watched this in where someone was fighting 30 people and they all had it's like a Roman soldier. And all they had was a spear, and so they went into this little crevice of a cave where they could only come in like one by one. It's like, I take you out. And it's like, so I followed the logic, I guess.
I think that somebody, like, they're in your home turf, they're in the water. I think you have covert, maybe overnight type things, like people out there, scouts, just laying more booby traps, dropping more icebergs. Please, you're not gonna let them get that close to your home, are you? I wouldn't. If it was me, I would take issue. What's the one above issue? I forget. I would take.
The one above issue.
I would take exception with them getting that close to my house before I did anything. Not necessarily that they didn't do it in the show. I'm trying to think strategically. I would take exception to that as like as the sole strategy. Like, no, that's the last line of defense. What's our first one? Anyway, Heather just said it out loud, and I was like, "Yeah, you're my best friend."
So Paku finally gives in, tells them where they could be, and stuff. What moment is that coming up? Oh, that's a little bit later. Nah, but I'll bring it up now because it matters. Anyway, so Paku tells them where they need to be, and Katara kind of goes off and fights wherever she was at. And then all these boys come up to her, and they're like, Master Paku told us to come up to you and told us to lend you help with whatever you needed. And Katara's like, he did? I was like, yeah. And then and even the boy's like, we're not fully through our training and stuff, but we promise that we'll promise we'll do our best. She's like, okay. And then she directs them to something like she is. And then he leaves. It's like Katara gives him an order, and the boy says, right away, Master Katara. And she's like, I'm not a. And it's like, you are a master. Like I love that moment. To me, that is Katara becoming a master. I would argue with anyone all day on why it makes sense that Katara is a master right now. But I think I love that moment. It's like she's a general fighting in a war.
Very. It's. We're getting like evolved Katara here, and it feels great.
Yeah. Then the chief asked Sokka to guard Yue. Um, it's funny because there was a moment there where he's like looking at Yue and Han, and he's like Sokka, like as if he's trying to select which one to choose to protect her. I don't know if they did this on purpose, as if he's giving his bless. I could see it because it's a weird moment where he is deliberating between those two. And they choose Sokka to protect Yue. And even afterwards, Han is like, Sokka, protect Yue. Like there's Han, that guy.
That guy, that honorable son of a gun.
Yeah. Then Zhao has plans. He explains why and how he's going to kill the Moon Spirit. He explains all that to Iroh, that he was in Roku's temple and talking to the sage, and that's where he devised the plan and everything. Even the sage is like, well, the ocean and moon spirit one time a year become mortal and stuff. So this is a change. It was I again I see why they made this change because if the ocean and the moon spirit were mortal all the time, it's like, well, they're not spirits. How are they doing their job if they're not spirits? I could see how people would think that's a plot hole, but to me, I don't care. It's whatever. Like I don't. I can see how people would think that's a plot. I can see how people who aren't Avatar fans would be like, "Oh, well, why is this a thing?" But also, I don't think they would care. But this show went out of their way to be like, "Well, only one time a year do they become fishes? Do they become in the physical being?" And then Zhao had to explain the ice moon or whatever. Again, there was a whole lot of exposition here that
Yeah,
felt heavy.
man, and in bits and pieces, it probably wouldn't feel as bad, but it just feels like I'm getting a big chunk of exposition that mostly I don't care for. Not
Yeah.
that it's all
Also, if
bad, but mostly I don't care for
also, if the Fire Sage knew about this, wouldn't everybody know about this?
it. Nobody likes Bill. He never shuts up about his crazy ice moon theories.
Yeah. Zhao's like, I talked to this Fire Sage who has these things.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
if Zhao can get to it, other
well,
people
also
could have gotten to it.
it's different because in the animated show, Zhao went to go visit the spirit library and learned it there. That felt so much more fluid. Also, it comes back later. Um, it feels more serendipitous or destiny-ish that Zhao came upon it while he was in spirit library. While here, it's just like, oh, well, the sage told me to go do it. Also, the dumb thing with Avatar Quirk's knife and stuff being needed to kill the ocean and moon spirit, which again, a trend of the show. That's not what I meant to say. It's not a
Tendency?
theme of the
Theme? Okay.
show. Tendency or theme of the show is to try and explain things that might not make sense. It's like, well, why would they put in there that you need Avatar Quirk's knife to kill the ocean spirit? The
I
one thing
don't
I could
like
think
that.
of,
You just told me that they were physical things for a day. Why you gotta have it?
yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. If they're
God,
physical
pisses
things,
me off.
I could I could have just suffocated a fish and have it out of water, or I could have just stomped it out.
Yeah.
But I think
It
the
is kind of
reason
funny to
why
just think of him like taking it out of water and just setting it on land and be like, "This should work."
I think the I think the reason why they added that caveat to it is because Aang needed a catalyst to know that the Ocean and Moon Spirit were in trouble because uh because the Face Stealer isn't that catalyst anymore. He was in 2 episodes ago, and so Aang needs someone to tell him that the Moon Spirit are in trouble. Well, who can tell him? Well, Avatar Korra can sense that his knife is here. Well, his knife is only used to kill spirits, so he could be the one to tell Aang. Again, it is a plot, almost contrivance
Yeah.
to 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 help the plot out.
I accuse myself of saying plot convenience too much, but to me, anytime where it feels like lore is expositioned near the end, right? Near where it's important, I get nervous, right? Like where like this past 2 episodes and we're learning about when Kirk, I think it's previous episode, right? It's like my knife
Yeah.
has left the whatever for the and then we're getting all this lore from Zhao right here. It feels way less thoughtful than if seeds had been planted like more intelligently and carefully farther along. And so anytime those things happen, I start to get fairly cynical fairly quick, and it feels like a plot convenience to me. Absolutely, not one that I like at all.
Yep.
They probably
Um.
somebody probably gave them the feedback that you just like that you said. You're like, hey, what makes Aang think this is important? They're like, crap, we
Yeah.
gotta fit this in. So that I mean that you're probably right on.
I can just imagine after the first scripts, they're like, "All right, let's go find plot holes, everybody," and then they go through and they find the plot holes and they try and work their ways around it.
Yeah, fix those bits. It makes me think of which it might be. Is it Big Bang Theory or something like that that points out that like Indiana Jones in the Temple
Big
of
Bang.
Doom is basically worthless. Like he doesn't change.
I I never watched Indiana Jones, but that is a Big Bang Theory thing.
Or Harry Potter, the first one is like a super common that like if Harry Potter would have just stayed in bed, Voldemort would have never gotten stoned in the first place. Like if he would have just listened, but instead we celebrate him. Anyway,
Yeah. Okay. Shaw has plans. Oh. Zuko, after he leaves Iroh, makes his way to the center of the center of the North, which this is probably a nitpick, and also I understand that they have budget and everything. In the animated show, Zuko's ordeal to get in the North seems like a way harder thing. Like we see him like swim against current sometimes, go up for water. Those walrus thingies are in his way. He's like, move out my way. Like he's just like mad and angry. Like you feel that he had to trek through the entire freaking city just to get where he was going through all these different various ways. And here there's like one scene where he does the thing and comes up, which is it's a great translation, but it's just like one thing. This might be a slight it's a nitpick for me.
yeah, I think nitpick is fine. I like it better when it seems like the ardor is more than just cold water.
Yeah.
So I would agree. I think nitpick's good.
Then he finally finds Aang. He's like, me and you. And then Aang is like, this is bigger than me and you, man. Like, I got stuff to do. And Katara's like, I got it. And Aang is like, hey, take it easy. And then, there's been enough damage or death or harm, violence, whatever. And Zuko thinks he's talking to him, and and Aang is like, "I'm not talking to you," which I like that moment. It's like because and Katara gives him a good look of like, "Oh, thanks for believing in me," type of deal. It's just it's a good little moment there.
Agreed.
Then Zuko and Katara have a fight, and what I really like about this fight, I think it's a great fight. And it's a little different than actually it's a lot different than the fight in the original show. I have no preference over which one, but I do like that in this show, Zuko and Katara have a fight early on in episode 2. It's not really a fight. They're facing off against each other, but Katara is more like helpless in that fight. And then Kyoshi comes in and wrecks shop. And now you see just how much Katara has grown, that she is holding her own. Granted, she's being partly powered by the full moon, the full ice moon. Don't know if that gives you extra superpowers beyond a full moon.
I would have to assume not if it's
Yeah.
not explicitly explained in extra detail.
Um, but I really like the fight between her and Zuko. And there's a moment there where Zuko is just like, "You peasant, you found a master, haven't you?" She's like, "Yeah, I have." You're looking at her like, love that moment.
I will say that one thing I like about this fight is that I like how well the contrast shows up in live action between the like firebending and the darker blue ice background. Like contrast to animation, it's great, and you can do it. It's great, but it's just it's animation that's kind of flat or whatever. It feels really good here. Really like it.
Yeah. I think Katara pretty much wins that fight. Even though it keeps going, but I think she won the fight. Also, while damage is happening, uh, Pillar or something, Rebel is about to kill a little girl. Then Momo steps in and saves the little girl. And then Momo gets hit by a rock or something. He's about to die. It's like, oh no, Momo, where'd this come from? This is quite the change.
This guys, we need somebody to die, but we can't have it be a real person.
Yeah. So Sokka and Princess Yue, I I like this plot convenience of like, okay, how did they get since I like this plot convenience given that Aang didn't need to go to the Spirit Oasis to meditate. Of like, hey, we gotta get Momo to the Spirit Oasis to heal him, and then we just happen to see like I'm completely fine with that coincidence of like, oh, we just happen to be here right when Zhao's here, and we can help stop him.
Yeah. I'm okay enough with it as a means to get him down
Yeah.
there.
All right, so Zhao's about to kill the Moon Spirit, uh, which I the actor for Zhao is freaking great, and I didn't expect to like him this much. I might like him more. He's probably the biggest. Is he the biggest surprise for me in the show? Maybe. Uh, he has this funny.
There's
I don't know,
something
this funny
about his
demeanor about him.
there's something about his candor where you're supposed to hate him, and he's a hateable character, but it's not like,
Definitely.
just to use another word that we throw out sometimes, like Professor Umbridge in the Harry Potter movies. Like you just immediately hate her. You're like, I might even hate that actress. Like she's just a horrible person. I don't. When I'm watching Zhao, I'm like, I know I do hate him, but I am amused by him, and
Yeah, yeah,
I can't stop watching him or whatever. There's I don't know. There's whatever he's doing it right. I really like it.
yeah, yeah. And it's so it's it's so different from the
It
Zhao I think
is.
in the show. Both are very valid interpretation of the character. Anyway, so Zhao's about to kill the Moon Spirit, has the Moon Spirit in the bag, and everyone's like, Zhao, don't do it. Like, Aang is like, don't do it. Everyone requires the moon. And then even Zhao's like, or he says it earlier, it's like, I'm not gonna kill the water spirit. Like, what do you think I am, a monster? I'm just gonna take their bending away, which is kind of it's a funny,
He
it's just a
doesn't mean it
funny
to be
thing.
funny, but it comes out.
Yeah,
So
he's like, I'm not a monster, but
continue to heap the praise on him. The actor does great, but also I'm going to praise the development of his characters. I like that we see that this Zhao comes from like like the forgotten outpost, right? Like he's small time. The
yeah,
outpost looks kind of like a little bit dumpy, and he's probably not working with the top. And they get that point across. very
Yeah.
well, and I think that gives reason for his character to not be as like prim and proper as other higher up Fire Nation people.
True. He is far more Paramount proper. Granted, he has freaking Lucius Malfoy voicing him,
Yeah, that
and
helps.
yeah. But he was already promoted, like before, like his career was already on the rise. Like he had just been promoted to um admiral, no, commander. Yeah, he just got promoted to commander from captain. And he continues to
Immediately.
get promoted. Yeah.
No, this
Um.
his bigger story overall kind of has a better
Yeah.
feel to it to me here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
And
Um. When he's holding the bag, he's telling Aang, he's like, I don't think anyone will care about you. He's like, the master of three elements doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Now, does
it's
it?
so funny. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah, like I don't know why, but yeah, it is. Like, I
I
guess you're
do,
right.
but I like
Master
his.
of three elements.
But I love his delivery. Is I don't think you ever really met it because it's delusional, but it like you feel like he believes that, right? Like he's so much conviction in there. Holy crap, he thinks that's true. You know,
Anyway,
it's such captivating acting.
yeah. Um, and Iroh's like, Iroh just saying like, if unleash that spirit, or I'll unleash on whatever you do. That spirit, I'll unleash on you tenfold. I don't like this delivery. The actor, Paul something his name, he does a great job. But really, I think this moment just goes to show how great of an actor Mako is. Mako, I think that's his actual pronunciation. The voice actor, original voice actor for Iroh. Because like I feel it when he says it, like, whatever you do to that spirit, I'll unleash on you tenfold, Zhao. Now let him go. And here, I was more like the mirror's like, whatever you do to that spirit, I will unleash on you tenfold, Zhao. Now let it go. I don't know. There's something,
There's
the
an
deliveries,
intensity missing.
yeah, which is still fine. It just, yeah, the intensity was missing.
It
And
is fine. I prefer the animated in that one
yeah,
bit.
yeah. And granted, had I watched this first and watched animated 1 second, I might have a difference of opinion on it. I don't think I would, but I'm just
I don't
being,
either. That'd be a tough sell to not love. Do you
yeah.
say? Did I forget? Did you say it was pronounced Mako or Mako?
I believe it's Mako.
It would be hard not to prefer his fire, pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, Zhao then. Oh, Iroh attacks Zhao. Zhao drops him in spirit. Aang tries to lift it up, and then, luckily, Zhao picks up Korrak's knife and stabs. Stabs him in spirit. I did like that it was a knife. A knife feels more personal. It feels more physical, more human than just fire biting the fish. Even though it's funny. These moments are too different because Zhao lets the spirit go, and then you see his face in the animated show. Zhao lets the spirit go, lets the fish go, and it swims, and you just see his face being like, "F them, F this, like this is my destiny," and he does a fire bending slash on it. Here, it's just kind of a matter of like, it's a fine difference. Here it's a like scramble almost, and builds a little bit of suspense. And then Zhao stabs it, and I like the stab, like because like I said, it feels more mortal in a way.
I think that they don't do a good job with some of the timing of this. It feels like he has more time to reach out and stab the fish in the way that he did it that like people could have reacted. Like it feels like
Mm,
there's missed sort of bending the fish away opportunities, etc. And it I'm gonna say this is qualm. Like it's more than a nitpick, but not quite an issue. Just it
sorry.
one of them would have done something to push that fish out of his reach or to fire bend Zhao specifically or
Zhao, yeah.
whatever. Yeah. They just all kind of like, no. Yeah. Come on. But
I
I like the
I get
personal. I agree with you entirely that something about stabbing it with your hands feels like kind of surprisingly primal physical for
yeah.
a spirit god essentially.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying because there is a timing. There's a definitely a timing thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Um. So then Zhao kills the moon spirit. Waterbenders start to lose their powers. There's a moment here where the battle is swayed to the firebenders, and like things aren't looking too good for the water tribe. The chief is like, retreat, retreat, but like firebenders keep pressing down. Han stops the chief. Is like, we'll cover you. We'll cover your retreat. And the chief is like, I forget what he says to him, but
Probably I wish you were my son. Probably something like that.
yeah,
No
you're the
better.
son I
It's
never
just, I,
had.
I love you, son.
I love you, son. I don't care if you didn't marry my daughter. You're my son.
I would have cried a little if he said that.
And then freaking great, weirdly a great moment of Han and like five other soldiers just being like holding down this line. Like this, they could have actually built up more by showing everyone else get away. But nonetheless, great moment. Han like spinning his club, and then them like scream like ah, like Shawn. I stupidly got goosebumps watching this
You
moment.
like cheering for him a little bit, like out loud.
Yeah, he takes out like at least three different
But
firebenders.
what are those firebenders doing? Are they like stormtroopers? Or are they Fire Nation troops who aren't firebenders, maybe? Like, do you have those?
They do. Yeah, they have those.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it had to be those guys, because come on. Spit,
yeah. Well,
Spitfire,
yeah.
let's
Some
go.
are probably firebenders. Some probably are not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one guy got freaking burnt to a crisp, and that's why the chief had to pick him up and then retreat. But Zhao, I
No,
mean
it's a.
Han. Well,
It makes you want to like applaud out loud for Han. Absolutely.
yeah. Like, how did he get this hero moment? Like, Momo and Han both got a hero moment in this episode, which is weird.
Unexpected is what that
Uh,
was.
yeah. Um, Aang then fuses with the Ocean Spirit, uh, which great moment, really good. It freaking ripped from the animated show. Um, it was weird to see. So I wrote this is I don't know if it's an issue. I wrote fault off all these firebenders, and then they're all standing around there looking at Aang fuse with the like go up, like as if
Yeah.
Iroh didn't take them out, but they're all just kind of like Iroh just kicked y'all butt and y'all just got up and everything. Like, y'all all just standing there looking at him. It's
Well,
just
forgive and
weird.
forget, boss. You know.
Yeah, it just took me out for a little bit. Granted, it didn't really take me out the show when I watched it the first time, but this time I was just
Yeah.
it's a qualm,
Agreed.
maybe issue.
I think Qualm's the right spot. Or yeah, Qualm Daisy.
Yeah. Um. So Aang turns to the Ocean Spirit. Toy turns into Koizilla. Freaking
And it looks so cool.
yeah, it looks freaking great.
It's the
I
best
have
looking
no
thing
issues
in
with
this
it.
show. Which is
Yeah.
which is high praise. We've had some great looking like still shots of landscapes and stuff. But like, no, this is yeah, because Koizilla is like living, breathing, moving, wrecking havoc. He looks
Yeah.
great.
Waterbenders bound down to them.
Mhm.
People who not. I do think. I don't know which. I sure I prefer the animated version better. There's just something more, and it's not a huge difference in my likeness of them. I think there's something maybe a little more artsy, and maybe it's because it's just animated, and animation can do that, right? Because it's like
Fair.
when when Aang turns into Ocean Spirit, the water turns this like vibrant blue, and then it spreads across and stuff. And like you can probably animation is the vehicle to do that, and so I can't really fault the show for that. Um, there was more like waterbenders bowing, and then conversations with firebenders who didn't bow, who got washed away.
Hmm?
I probably would have liked a little bit more of that in in this version. But nonetheless, loved it. Great.
I think if there's one thing that tips the scale for me a little bit, it's that this version it goes on a little bit longer. Frankly, you just get a little more of him, and
Yeah.
I kind of like that. You see him lay waste to more stuff. So I'll give it a slight edge to live
Yeah.
action Fish Monster.
Other thing I do like more is that people are commenting on it. They're like, "Holy crap!" Like one thing I love about anime is when people gawk at the power of other people. It's a
Mm-hmm.
weird trope that I love. But even Sokka's like, "What is happening?" And Yue is like, "There is no Aang anymore. Like the ocean spirit took over his body." And then even when Zuko looks up at it, and Zuko's like, "I gotta go get the Avatar," and Iroh's like, "That's not the Avatar. Like that is just wrath personified."
Mm-hmm.
It's like Aang has changed, and I really like that difference in this.
Agreed. That's neat.
Then speaking of Zuko, Zuko finds Zhao and they have a fight. It's a pretty good quick fight, probably just as long as the animated one. The So the fight ends. Great. I think it's a good to great fight. Fight ends, and this part did not hit well for me at all. Where like Zuko has Zhao, and it's like you took everything from me, and then Zhao reveals like you think I could have done this myself. Like your father's just using you to help Azula. It was a weird. They played it as a reveal, and it was just like,
But
was it needed? I don't know. It was
it
just
also it felt like a stretch just to give Zhao like one more thing to
the
say.
poke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I no, I agree completely. I didn't care for it.
Yeah. Okay.
It didn't. It,
Then it's I don't
it
know.
didn't have
Also,
it
the
doesn't have any
episode.
impact coming from Zhao. It didn't mean anything.
Also,
Like
Also, the episode, right? It doesn't really mean as much going from Zhao. Also, I thought they went over this in the episode before when Iroh was like, Zhao must be connected to someone higher up. Like, I thought they connected the dots to Azula. If they didn't, they could have just easily done it there and not had this moment here where they're doing it again.
I don't think they did thoroughly connect it, but it would have made just as much sense previously. I don't think they
Yeah,
did it literal last episode, but they should have.
I think, yeah. Um, then
I love the small man
Zuko's
who's gonna
there.
eat meat a small end
Oh,
comment. That's a great
that's
little
a
quote.
great That's a great freaking line.
Yeah. No, I've said that like
So-
out loud, just to other like TV, not to real people, but like to other TV characters. I'll be like, he's a Ramsey Bolton. I just watched that episode. He's a small man who's gonna meet a small end.
yeah,
Screw Ramsey Bolton.
that's a really great line that is so applicable to those type of characters like Ramsay Bolton.
Yes.
Like those characters who you hate, like King, like Prince Joffrey
Mm?
and stuff. Like, oh, he's a small man. He's gonna
Y-
be a small. That's
yeah.
a good one.
You hate them, and ultimately they amount to nothing, and it's so gratifying.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then there's Iroh who kills Zhao. I I I definitely prefer the animated series of them having a fight. Zuko beats Zhao, but then the Ocean Spirit, as it comes way back, it's like, screw it. I'm like, hey, I'm going back, but I'm taking something with me. Like this is the dude who killed my love, my life. Nah, I'm ready to go back, but he's coming with me. And then Zuko reaching out to try and save Zhao, and then Zhao's just too freaking proud. And he's just like, that didn't happen
Yeah.
here.
I like it.
And
I think the ocean spirit is a highly intelligent spirit. I think it would have sought vengeance. Like it makes more sense to me to have the spirit kill him.
which I guess if you want to go with the small end thing being more literal, it makes more sense for just one attack to kill him from Iroh than an ocean spirit who's one of the most powerful things in the world to kill him. I guess if that's what they're going for, the reasoning
Okay.
for that.
Okay. I get it.
Uh,
I
but none of
To me, it would be funny if his small end was like the ocean spirit, just like I'm gonna call it like disposing him, like just a casual like wrist slap and just bat him like 8 miles, or something like
Oh,
something so literally offhanded.
yeah.
But it would have been like too stupid. But like that level of effort from the ocean spirit, like vengeance, pew, okay, done.
Yeah.
But no, I see
But
what you're
also,
saying on a literal scale.
but to disagree with myself, that we just mentioned that we love that line of this small man is going to be a small end. Like this Zhao is kind of more of a coward, more self-preserving than the other Zhao. He's more self-preserving than prideful, and the other Zhao is prideful. And I think we've had this conversation before that this Zhao would have accepted the help from Zuko
Mhm.
if he reached out. And that would have made the reason why I love that scene is because Zhao was like so freaking proud. He's like, I'm not gonna accept your help. While this Zhao would be like, yeah, help me.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and there again,
So
we're talking about the original Zhao just had a hair more pride and had a hair more like
yeah,
sort of upright Fire
yeah,
Nation honor to him,
yeah.
whereas
He
this,
wasn't a small.
yeah,
He wasn't a small. Yeah.
yeah. So agreed.
Um. Okay. Ocean Spirit keeps wrecking shop all over the place to where it seems like his rage is unquenchable. To where it seems like he's just gonna keep traveling the land. Even UA says that it's like the Ocean Spirit's gonna keep raging because he can't find the love of his life, things like that. And then they do play it up with Katara and Aang. That dichotomy there between those two. And
I
Katara continues. Go ahead. Go.
I think they overplay the there is no Avatar anymore. I get what they're saying, but they say something like that at least twice, and it feels kind of overplayed. But also, I they sound so finite and definitive, as if they know, like, yeah, we've seen this before. Yep, that's the end of the Avatar.
True.
They just where it just in reality, I feel like they'd be like, I don't know. I don't know what this means. Is it just gonna wander forever? But they're so confident, it kind of
Yeah,
unsettles me.
that's a good point. In that, I think if in Legend of Korra they said that because in Legend of Korra they established like when spirits fuse with people, like people get changed, and so but that's nowhere in here. But I
They
wonder where
just a few weeks ago they
they
didn't know
did.
the Avatar was still alive, and
Yeah,
now all of a sudden they're like spirit Avatar
it, there
experts.
was some there was some finiteness, assuredness that Aang's gone. The Ocean Spirit's gonna keep doing this. When it's like, hey, maybe the Ocean Spirit might get tired. But yeah,
Or
I'm
maybe Aang will die in there, there'll be a new Avatar. Like, I don't, but that's Qualm territory. Like, it's a little more than nitpick, but it isn't that big of a deal. Just something I felt was weird.
yeah. There was one thing that one. So they bring up this notion of like, is the avatar necessary anymore? And I have hmm, probably qualm with this because before, even though it's funny coming from Zhao, of like, I'm not sure you ever were needed. I think it's great coming from Zhao, but even Angus like, am I needed and stuff? Like, is the avatar needed? And to me, that's not a valid question because the avatar is definitely needed because
Even
the
if you're not
world has been,
needed, don't you think you'll come in handy?
yeah.
Yeah, it makes
Or
way
even the
more
con-
sense coming from Zhao. It fits his character way better to.
or even the concept of the avatar is needed. While in Legend of Korra, I maybe because it's just me because I protect Korra a lot. I don't want them to take like certain plot or element points. Like in Legend of Korra, it's a lot about like, is the avatar still needed? Like,
Are we evolving
it's
to a place where, yeah,
yeah,
it's more
um,
thematic and thematically appropriate to Korra.
yeah. So Aang has that going with him here.
Hmm?
But anyway,
Aang's a kid. I could
UA,
see him having a little self doubt after,
true.
like, but
Yeah.
that's about all I'm going to give to that.
Yeah. Uh, UA explains to Sokka that she's gonna sacrifice herself. She's gonna give. her life for the ocean spirit because ocean spirit gave her life,
Yeah,
which
thank
is a
heaven she's
simple
part
enough.
spirit so she can do that.
Yeah. The weird thing is, Shawn, and then no one complains about for some reason, even they complain about little things. Yue doesn't become the moon spirit in this at all. She's not the moon spirit. Like she just gives her life to the moon spirit for that person to be the moon spirit, for the moon spirit to be the moon spirit. And I think they made this change because it kind of doesn't make sense in the animated show for UA to be the moon spirit, but also the moon spirit to be the moon spirit also. Like you got two moon spirits, but also I don't care. Like I love the I never questioned it. But I think in this show they purposely did that to not make her the moon spirit because they would have to explain like okay, well why are there two moon spirits? But they rid us of the great moment of UA becoming the moon.
There is a timing element of the animated series that I like better. That feels like the moon spirit feels more dead to me in the live action. Whereas the animated, like you know
Oh,
that they're dead, but it feels like being able to like resuscitate somebody with the zapper things, the defibrillators or whatever. She clung to that last bit of life and fused with the moon spirit. There's something about the animated that timed out better or felt more acceptable in my brain.
hmm. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint what. I
But
get it. Yeah,
yeah, and I also do like that she kind of became the moon. That
yeah. But here she
adds
does
value
become the
to.
moon.
Yeah,
She just died.
she's dead. She sacrificed her spirit for something else. But
Yeah,
uh,
which also still makes the spirit fights thing
yeah,
dumb. Maybe they did that because they were like, oh, well, we don't want to take away her becoming a spirit. We'll make her a spirit already. That was dumb. Dumb.
yeah. So I'm gonna give a lean to the animated and call that a qualm.
Yeah. Um. So UA dies. Moon Spirit comes back. Aang comes back. Great freaking music playing when he comes out because it's the Avatar theme. And yeah. And then we see that Han didn't make it.
See that Han didn't
You know
make it.
we
R.I.P. brother.
yeah. And then Katara sees that all those soldiers she led to war also did not all of them, but some of them didn't make it. Like that one who had the speaking role, he died. Like this stuff was real. It reminds me of the lyric from Hamilton as George Washington, of George Washington being like, "I was younger than you are now when I given my first command. I led my men straight into a massacre and witnessed their deaths firsthand." I'm like, oh, Katara could relate to that. But
I haven't watched that in a while. I will have to go back and watch that again.
I just listened to the soundtrack on my way back from Oklahoma.
Hmm? Nice. I mean, good way to pass the drive time.
It's a great watch on 4th of July, also. So
Hmm?
if you ever,
That actually makes a lot of sense. My fourth, you know what we didn't really talk about. My 4th of July plans have legitimately changed 4 times in the past week. Like big ish, like driving to Illinois or driving to Wichita or doing nothing at all or like 4 times. It's been a wild week, but another story for another time. I'll listen to the soundtrack because I am allegedly driving to St. Louis. Allegedly,
huh?
good soundtrack to play.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, I love the Hamilton soundtrack. So good. Um, some, uh, uh, I'm laughing at myself. Anyway, so the battle's over. Um, so, Zuko is tired, and Iroh says a man needs his rest. Great line. Um, Team Avatar, Aang is feeling down and stuff because they lost so many people, so much death and stuff. Um, like they put a huge emphasis on the death in this show compared to the animated show, which I like.
Hmm?
But also, it's kind of weird because in the animated show, the last thing we see from Sokka is Sokka talking to the chief, which he does here also. Um, Great. Oh man, that moment's so great in an animated show where the chief is like, when I had a vision of my daughter becoming the moon, and the Sokka's like, you must be so proud, and then the chief goes, so proud, so sad. Like, oh man, great freaking moment.
Hmm?
Didn't have that here.
Yep.
Didn't I mean he did say like, Sokka, you couldn't stop her or anything, like she was her own self. But there was something, the delivery and the writing was just so good in an animated show
It was
that
still
you
touching
felt,
here. It just didn't punch quite as hard.
yeah. But my point is that's like one of the last speaking roles we see of Sokka. But the last speaking roles we see of Sokka here is Sokka being kind of like more laughy and stuff. Like, yo, you just saw your girlfriend get killed and all these other people just got killed. I get that you're trying to like, and maybe it's just a masking and stuff, which is you can easily put that in your head that he's just masking the pain and trying to keep going. But it's just it was just a little bit weird of like, hey, anybody hungry? It was just, I don't know, just a
Hmm?
little off this time. But again, that's a nitpick
Yeah,
ish.
that fits nitpick for me, but I see the misplaced feeling there.
Yeah. And then we end with uh the
Ozai
fire station
monologue.
talking to Ozai. Yeah. Ozai talking about how, hey, they were able to attack the North, penetrate it, but the North still stands. And then Ozai, of course, is like, that was never the real plan. The real plan was to take over Amashu. Then we see Azula taking over Amashu, imprisoning King Bumi, which I like that enough. I didn't like the reveal of Azula. Like, we know it's Azula. Quit. It's dumb. Uh,
I didn't like some of his language, but I'm gonna at least say that it's fitting. It was fitting to his character. Like it's consistent to his character that he wouldn't have much regard for like lives or resources lost if he still had
yeah.
this other
No, no,
thing
that
going. The the confidence or whatever. But like I did hate it when he's like, let me go. I have the note here. The North was never the true target. It's like,
but it was a target.
yeah, but it was.
Like,
But I
it,
understand that
it's
it's consistent to Ozai's character. It's like he was trying a little too hard to be cool in front of his
yeah.
buddy, or something like that.
And of course, because he's a yes man, he was like, great strategy, Fire Lord, and it's like, all right,
Yeah, it's so yeah, but that's nitpick though for me, nitpick territory.
yeah,
That's it, and that's it. That's season one.
that's the season
That's
one.
it, Chris. Let's do some ratings. I feel like I feel like we're gonna have relatively similar curves of our ratings, but I think they're gonna be a little bit apart. But I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna do audiovisual first. And
Okay.
I gave audiovisual a 9.5 because I really liked how most of this episode looked and sounded. A whole lot. Very little dead space visually.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 10. Um,
Great,
it was
great.
the music was great. Even some of the music cues that aren't original to Avatar, I thought were good. The Avatar theme, they should really use Avatar theme more in this show. Honestly, it's the Avatar theme. Um,
Hmm?
but it's used great here. And Water Tribal Story. This is an episode that I'm like, oh, they put money into this episode, like I mentioned before, probably an hour ago. But
Yeah.
it looks great. Koizilla looked freaking great. Um, Episode looked great.
Yeah, it's probably not the right spot for it, but the only thing that was dinging it for me was just a couple of those places where maybe we drug into a scene a little bit too long, or like when everybody's watching Zhao stab the fish, and maybe that's more of a
Uh,
narrative thing. But like all I'm doing is watching everybody watch Zhao stab a fish for like 10 seconds. So little things,
yeah.
but yeah, it's great. It looks and sounds great. Chris, do you want to do the story first?
Sure,
Narrative.
man. So what do I want to do for story? There's so much stuff in here that I'm like, ah, this dumb,
I
this
can go
dumb.
first. You can take a
Other,
minute to process if you want.
no, I'll go. I thought a lot of stuff with UA that was kind of dumb over explained. There was something else that was over explained that I mentioned before that drags it down a little bit. The Aang arc was okay. Aang's arc here is about like does he fit in this world and stuff. That was done fine enough. Which is also Aang doesn't have much of an arc in the first season. I don't think.
He doesn't in
Also,
this whole first season. He doesn't. He
yeah.
doesn't move much.
But the stuff with Katara, I freaking love so much. I think it's really great. I feel like I'm missing something else, but for story, I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay. This would probably be our biggest difference. I gave it a 7. There's just too much lore stuff crammed in, or that felt crammed in last minute, or that felt over explained. Like you said, the Iwe stuff, blech, the Zhao stuff, blech. The Katara stuff is great. The Katara stuff, and there's some, not as much in this episode, but the Zuko stuff, Zuko Iroh stuff, are like the two redeeming qualities, right? Those are pulling it up. Man, basically everything else lore related is not quite as good as my brain wants to be. So 7. And then last one for memorable. I've really waffled back and forth here for a long time. I settled on a 9. And there again, it's just because there's a few too many things where I was like, I remember that, but not in a good way. Just a couple too many of those things to go any higher, but still great. I could watch Quazilla all day, just destroy and wreck shop.
Yeah. It's a very memorable episode. I am close. I'm probably the same. Yeah, I'll go with 9 also.
Okay.
Quazilla's great. Love the freaking Katara stuff. There's a few things that scratch my head at, which takes it down a little bit. And a few things that the nostalgia might be talking, but I'll save that for later. And yeah, 9. Yeah. It's one
So
of those episodes that while I was watching it, I stopped taking notes because I was so enthralled in it.
I think we both ranked the audiovisual quality as the highest factor of this episode, and if I was explaining this episode to somebody, that would ring true as well. Like, you just need to, like, don't think too much and just watch it, and that's its best quality, and that's reflected
Yeah.
by our scores. Which you wound up with a 9.2, I wound up with an 8.4, and that averaged to be an 8.8. And across the board, it was our second favorite. Like, it was your second favorite episode, my second favorite episode, our second favorite episode. So it kind of feels
Oh,
validating.
don't give too much information. We can make an episode ranking the episodes.
Oh, you're right. I gotta keep people coming back for more. What's the first? Come back for more.
I know.
It it was it was absolutely a visual treat. The things that draw it down are just some of the other that maybe people who aren't you, for example, right, and they're not thinking about it, maybe it just doesn't bug them as much, and
Yeah.
they think it's an amazing episode. Right? That's great. I hope so. But
Man, we're never gonna get the line. Never mind. This is I can talk about this when we get to adaptability.
oh yeah, go ahead. Hit me with your adaptation thoughts.
Um, man, like probably average because there's so much stuff that I love with Katara. Like I just love it. It's so freaking good. And there's stuff with the Moon Spirit and UA. There's one other thing that I'm like, man, they did a worse job adapting this. So probably averages out. Um, Guitar stuff is so freaking strong though. So yeah, I'll say it's average adaptability. But one thing that I'm upset about is UA not becoming the Moon Spirit
Hmm?
because of just whatever them trying to make stuff make sense. But we'll never have the line, "My first girlfriend turned into the moon,"
Yeah, that's a
and
big
that's
miss.
Rufflet. He'll have to say, "My first girlfriend sacrificed herself." It doesn't roll off the tongue. My first girlfriend.
Died for the
Nothing
moon?
rolls off the
Saved the
tongue.
moon?
Nothing rolls off the tongue. The statement. the quote is so amazing because it is this outlandish, spectacular thing that his girlfriend did, and also he just says it kind of calmly, like my first girlfriend turned to the moon. It is such a freaking great line, and we won't get that.
Yeah,
It's
and
a shame.
his delivery of that line in the animated series is just it sounds
And then
like a
just
teenage boy kind of humble bragging a little bit.
yeah,
I did so last episode I did barely average, like in a bad way, like it was almost bad, but I respect what they were trying to do. This one I'm barely average, but on the other end of the average spectrum. Like I
right.
really did like a lot of the changes and a lot of the things that we were able to see and experience in live action that we just couldn't in the animated. And I would say it's good if there was just like one or two more things that had been done a little better. I just I couldn't. They're just it's too divisive. So, but it's average. That's fine. And that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's it. That's our
I
thoughts.
probably a change I might have would have made. In fact, we should probably do an episode just on changes we would have made. And this is would have been just
Oh,
a nitpick, is I
we
might
can
have
absolutely do
had
it.
Katara. I might would have had Katara waterbend up to the ocean spirit to talk Aang off the ledge, and would have been like Katara taming the ocean, taming the element of water itself.
Oh, that could have been
But
deep.
also, yeah, but also just her connection with Angus stuff, like her almost going into it and and grabbing or hugging him or whatever to tether him back down to earth. I mean, the thing still comes across as she is his tether,
Yeah.
but still,
I I still think it would have been really cool if Katara had like rallied the other women and they actually like went out and just secretly wreaked a little havoc out in the open water somehow. I don't know how it would have been executed, but they're crafty. They could have found a way. That would have been awesome. There's
it took maybe a little longer. They probably would have added like 5 minutes, 5 million to the budget.
yep. But how cool would it be if they just like, no, I'm not gonna take these women to Paku for his approval. We're just gonna go tear shit up. And
That
that
would have been interesting.
would
That
have
would
been
have been
kind of
interesting
cool.
if they just disregarded Paku to started fighting, and then one of them like saved Paku,
Or yeah,
and
something
then he
that they
would have
did had a big visible positive
yeah.
impact.
Well, they had the one moment where a fireball is coming at them, and they block it,
Hmm?
and that's kind of the most you get of that.
Yep. So yeah, could have been more than a speech. Could have been a thing, an action. But anyway, I remember I just looked over at my wife and I was like, it's fall in love all over again. Uh, but anyway, I digress. That's Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Netflix live action season 1. And we will follow up this episode because we got a lot of time in between seasons with lots of other episodes about favorite episodes. We'll make some changes. We will talk about our favorite actors. We will do other things. It'll be great.
Maybe best fights. Maybe I don't know.
Best
We
fight?
got plenty of stuff to work with.
Yeah, we do. It'll be a
Oh,
good
we need
time.
to do a best fights. We haven't done an episode of just best fights of Avatar. We need to do that, and then best fights of Korra.
We talk about so many things, and then I just kind of have a fairly vivid. I say I have a very fairly vivid imagination. I don't mean like I'm wildly creative in an artistic sense. It's just that like my brain has these vivid
So
images of things that didn't happen. Just like, oh yeah, we
yeah,
did
it's
too, Chris. No, we didn't. We just talk about it, and my brain just fills in the pictures a little bit.
like when you respond to a message from somebody, and you're like, "I sent that. I responded back," and
Yeah.
you look at your email. I'm like, "Oh wait, I just responded back in my head."
My poor wife is always the like, which she's very polite and aware of it. But I'll think that I told her something, and I'll be like, "Is this one of those times where I swear I said it out loud, but I just said it inside my head?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's never left your mouth before this." But anyway, I have very vivid dreams too. Sometimes I will like have a dream, and like 2 days later, I'll be like, "Is that a thing?" Anyway, hey, yeah, thanks for watching. Keep coming back, and we'll Chris, I think it's safe to say we'll probably mix in. We're not like strictly live action from here on out. We'll mix in all
Oh yeah.
variety of episodes and such, just like the old days. And yeah, come back and watch. My name's Shawn. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek, YouTube and Twitter fame. Leave us likes, comments, subscriptions, click bells, positive reviews, whatever form of interaction you can spare us. We're grateful for that. And we will see you next time.
How does a ragtag army in need of a shower somehow defeat a global superpower? How do we emerge victorious from the